Sarastrology. This is the second video, and I was originally going to do this video on light and sound, color and sound, and how it relates to the zodiac and astrology. But after finding my own birth record and having rectified my own chart previous, and found out that, in fact, my rectification was exactly correct, off by a minute, I decided that rectification was a good idea to go into. Now, what I mean by rectifying a birth chart is, most of the time we don't usually know when our birth time is. Most people don't. And when using with astrology for the transits, you can't always time them exactly to when they'll hit. So finding your exact birth time is really important, or it can be. So I'm going to go through a couple of ways in this video and probably the next, giving you step-by-step how to rectify your own birth chart. And for those who don't have astrology software, there are links onto my website for freeware, as well as some recommendations for software that you have to buy. Now, the program I'm using is Solar Fire Gold version 7. But what I mean by rectifying charts is basically getting the correct birth time so then you know what your ascendant and your midheaven is. If you don't have those, then your houses will not be correct. So we're going to look a little bit into that. Now, this is pretty advanced, so just bear with me and just go with it. So for this person, this is her approximate birth time chart. So the first step is to take the approximate time and make a chart. So this is her chart. It's at 11:30 a.m. Now, the second thing that we should do is you want to ask the person, or yourself if you're doing this for yourself, the exact date of a life event. Now, a life event could be anything from a marriage, or the birth of children, or birth of siblings are also very important. Or you could do graduation, anything that's important to you. And a good rule of thumb is to use the first thing that comes to mind. So when I mentioned a life event, use that. Use the first thing that came to mind that you knew what the date was. Because that will tell you really how important it was, and also it's easier. So for her, I'm using the death of her mother, February 16, 2005, and what you first need to do is find the arc of the event. So in her case, it was 2005. The month, in her case, was February, and the day, which was the 16th. And then you also need to subtract that by the year of your birth date, or your person's birth date, month, and the day. And why you need to do that is we need to convert these into degrees and minutes, so then it works with the degrees on the circle. So for your final answer, the year equals the degrees. Now the month, for every 1 month, you should multiply it by 5 to get the final minutes, and for every 6 seconds, make it 1, so divide that by 6. There's actually a typo in this. It actually should be minutes, but for the day, we divide it by 6. So for the first example, 2001, August 15th, natal is February 11th, 1990, and the final answer is 11 degrees, 30 minutes. So that's how that works. For here's another example. It happens again. So 2011, March 16th. The person was born in 1984 on August 1st. And calculate all that, and it equals 26 degrees, 37 minutes. Now for our first example, which person we're actually rectifying the chart for. It's 2005, February 16th, and 1991, January 2nd. So we subtract all that. Final answer for the arc of the event, which is the AE, is 14 degrees 7. So that's what we're going to be using. So we jot that down, make sure. So now that we know the arc of the event, we need to determine a significant planet to use for this event. Now, since the death of her mother, some people would use the ruler of the 8th house or the 12th house, which means death. But since I know this person personally, the death of her mother was something that happened in her home, and it wasn't her mother. Now, the 4th house represents the home, property, also mother, Cancer. It's a very motherly sign. So we're going to use the ruler of the 4th house. And to find the ruler of a house, we take basically where the house cusp is, which house cusp here is in Cancer. So it's pretty easy. So we take the moon. So the significant planet to rectify this chart is going to be the moon. Now, for this, we need to look at the right ascension of the moon. And to figure that out, we see right here that the moon is at 8 degrees and 19 minutes Leo. So we're going to look at a right ascension table, and you can see right here that at 8 degrees Leo, the right ascension is 130 degrees 26. Take note of that, and we need to know that so we can find the right ascension of the midheaven. And how to do that, there are many ways. Well, not many ways, but it depends on what house, or what quadrant, on what meridian, which the meridian would be the midheaven line, so it's the cusp of the 10th and the cusp of the 4th. And as you can see, we have formulas for each of these. And so, in doing these formulas, if the total is ever greater than 360 degrees, we just subtract 360. But also another thing to note, which I'll do an example with this later, is that if the significant planet you are using is close, like say plus or minus 5 degrees to one of the meridians indicated above, make the midheaven or 4th house cusp conjunct with that planet. So it's the planet that you're using to signify how you're rectifying this chart. So now we need to figure out what planet, what formula to use. So look at her chart, you see that her moon is in the 5th house, and we're using the 4th house cusp, so it's in quadrant B. You can see right here. So we're going to use that formula, the right ascension. We're going to subtract the arc of the event from the right ascension and then add 180 degrees. So we do that, and we add it, and we get 296 degrees 18 minutes. Now we need to take note of that, and then we need to look at our right ascension table again, and this time we're going the other way. We're going to find the right ascension to see what degree that corresponds to with what sign. And right here we can see that it corresponds to, well, the one closest to it is 295 degrees 54 minutes. And that corresponds to 24 Capricorn. So that means that what we want to do is we want to rectify this individual's chart to make her midheaven at 24 Capricorn. Before she had her birth time at 11:30 a.m., with this rectification I'm getting it at 11 minutes after 1 p.m., which makes her midheaven at 24 Capricorn and her ascendant at 13 degrees Taurus. So that's how you rectify a chart using that way. Now, my second example is an individual, and we want to do the same thing that we did for the last one. First of all, we have the approximate birth time, which is at 9:30 a.m., for this person on August 1st, 1984, actually my sister. And what we're going to do is to rectify her chart, and this last event is going to be marriage. So she married her husband. And for that one, it's pretty easy to tell. That one's pretty cut and dry. I usually use the ruler of the 7th house, and you see the cusp of the 7th house is in Pisces, and the ruler of Pisces would be Neptune. So since the ruler of Neptune is on the cusp of the 7th house, Neptune is the ruler of the 7th house for this individual, according to this approximate birth plan. So we're going to use Neptune. Now, one of the points we made on a slide previous was if the midheaven, if the 4th house cusp or the midheaven is close to either close to your significant planet, you want to make it conjunct. So in this case, it's pretty close. It's very close, actually. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it easy, and we're going to make person's midheaven at 29 degrees Leo. We'll make it 29 degrees O2, since Neptune is at 29 degrees O2, 02 Sagittarius. So make it more exact. So originally what she thought her birth time was 9:30 a.m. And I found with rectification that it was more than likely at 9:58 a.m. Which makes this person's midheaven at 29 Gemini, and her ascendant at 29 Virgo. Which, for this person, my sister, I think that works. So that is one way to rectify it. And on my next video, I plan on showing you another way, which could say is easier or harder depending on what your level is. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I hope you learned something. Oh, and don't forget to check out my website, www.sarastrology.com, and make sure you check out the links for freeware and recommendations for astrology software.